I'm super curious because I've always valued your perspective, especially when it comes to, you know, your thought process on what actually works and helps clients grow their business digitally, period. Whether it's e-commerce, whether it's, automated email campaigns, whether it's Facebook ads, whether it's LinkedIn. So I'm curious, like 2021, what are you seeing and observing as you're working, with people, helping them navigate the marketing space? What insights or things that have come to mind that you're noticing during this time?
I think one thing I've noticed a lot with the changes that have been happening in the last few months has been that there isn't any pause on marketing. It needs to continue, and people are still purchasing. They're still looking at where they want to make their purchases. So making sure that you have the infrastructure to do e-commerce or have curbside pickup and letting customers know about that. So one conversation I had with a customer was the use of Google business listings and how they could utilize the traffic that they were getting on Google organically, and then using their Google business listing to show reviews and show any updates with COVID or their delivery or services. And even just announcing new products or sales. If you have a promo coming up, you can put that on your Google business listing as well. So just utilizing the tools and being consistent in them, I think, is the thing that clients are realizing has the most benefit.
That's a great point, Rochelle. It's funny. I put out a piece of content the other day, and what really inspired that is just how often people forget about their Google business listing. They'll update the website, they'll update the social, and that's like, pretty basic as far as what people remember to do. But people tend to often miss the Google business listing. And as simple as that piece of content was, I thought it was appropriate to make because it is a piece that people typically will miss out on. It's almost becomes like a checklist of like, oh yeah, did I do that? Did I do that? Did I do that? To your point, is it consistent across the board? Is it the same messaging so that, the end consumer has the best possible chance of dealing with you and having the accurate information for doing so?
And I think another thing is just like right now with a bunch of changes, a lot of businesses are taking more time to focus on their business and less of the customer facing. Customers are coming in the store and now you have to process transactions. With this change right now, you're able to focus a little bit more time. So spending time scheduling out social media posts, or even just trying new things. Maybe your Facebook ads haven't been working well, or does your website need a refresh? This is the time that you can actually spend time and update it and try new things. So whether that's like Pinterest ads, if you have products or if you have blogs to write, there are lots of different things that you can do that will still get out to customers and create that relationship, which is ultimately what you want. That relationship is the key point in then getting customers into your doors or on your website.
And Rochelle, the cost of entry is so cheap right now. Like literally, I have an ad running right now, 28 cents per click. Like that's the cost of entry, people. Like it is the cost of advertising on social is so underpriced. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I think even expanding outside of social media like Google Ads, there are so many benefits to doing Google Ads. I had a client last night that I was doing their ad report from, and they had 700 people they reached in a month, but their click-through rate was almost 20%. So the people that it was getting in front of, it was relevant to them, and they wanted to actually make an action, which was going to the website for more information.
Well, let's go here for a second, because I think this is going to bring value to people that, are hands-on kind of doing this stuff themselves. And that's really kind of the framework of which I tried to build within this coffee and marketing chat is, people that are actually active in their business doing these things themselves. What makes a really good ad? Like, what's a formula that you see that's working?
I think it really depends on the business, whether or not you do a video or you do a photo ad. So being able to try different things is probably the number one thing I would say with an ad. Don't run the same thing over and over. Try different things. Add 5 photos in a carousel ad versus doing just one photo and it's a graphic. Or try posting a video that's 30-second that could be just someone talking on a computer, or it could be walking through your store, but something that will grab people's attention. And that's the baseline formula of an ad, is what will make you stop scrolling. And then from there, it's making your ad copy be relevant to that target. So whether or not it's saying Bay of Quinte or parents or Christians, depending on what type of ad you're running, so that they know, okay, yeah, this is something that relates to me, and let me read some more. I also would encourage people to make their ad copy very easily readable. So, that grade 6 level, so that everyone can understand it, and also make it pretty short, right? Make it quick, easy to digest. Most people have an attention span of about 3 seconds. So if your first sentence hasn't caught them, they're already going to keep scrolling. So make that first sentence be kind of like your powerhouse.
I love it. I got to take my glasses off when I say this. I'm going to say this right to the camera. Context, people. That's exactly what Rochelle is talking about here. You have to create context. And I think the beautiful thing is, like, a lot of people get discouraged because they think, man, Facebook, Instagram, like they're so oversaturated with ads. So it's like, how do I even think that I'm going to break into the market? Well, here's the juice of it all. What Rochelle is saying right here is what the vast majority of people that have ads running aren't doing. They're not creating context with their ideal client. They're not, being consumer centric in the ad copy, in the creative when they're putting it out there. So these are little things but if you put them all together, that recipe, you can create something that's really, really impactful for the end consumer. Because as Rochelle's saying, attention span of 3 seconds, you only have them for so long. What's going to make them click?
And then the other thing is that do research. Like, go to the places where your people are consuming content. So search hashtags, check out TikTok, check out the kind of content that they're wanting to consume, and then replicate that. Because if they're wanting that type of content, provide that kind of content and you'll get those people.
Yeah. Do you think that, like, that's a gap where a lot of people don't spend enough time? Like, they don't spend enough time on, finding those questions that are being asked. I find that when a lot of people post, like, they post from their vantage point of their business, but not necessarily from the consumer vantage point. What are some ways, that you think that one could get around that mentally?
Yeah, I think a really good sentence to kind of sum it up is that you aren't buying your products or services, someone else is. So
Wow.
setting it up for you isn't going to resonate necessarily with your ideal clients.
Hold up. You aren't buying your products. Your customer is. That's a big statement.
Yeah. And I think it has to do with, ask your clients, ask your customers, what do they want to see? You could do that in emails. You could do that over the phone when we are able to be face-to-face, through surveys, whatever that may be, but get their feedback, because those are the people that are consuming your content. They're the people that are purchasing your items. So going to the root of them, that's part of the research. Another part is go to social media, look up through that way. Go to Google, search up trends that are happening in consumer buying habits, and look at the picture as a whole, right? We want to look at the strategy side of it, which is not going into detail and looking at such a precise, aspect. It's, you got to take a step back and say, who are my ideal clients? What are their ages? Where do they live? What do they like to do? What do they value? You need all of that before you can really write anything, because then you're writing it for them. You're not writing it just to sell, or you're not writing it just to write. It's tailored to people that's what they want.
And let's set the record straight once and for all, Rochelle. What type of analytics data should people that have business social media accounts really be looking for? Like, is it likes? Is it followers? Like, what should people be paying attention to?
People should be paying attention to engagement. That is above everything. Whether that's click-throughs, whether it's comments, whether it's DMs. Likes are okay, but they're kind of like a very high level analytic that doesn't tell you a ton. Commenting and asking people questions, asking them, what did you like about this? Have you used the product? Do you have any questions? Encouraging that relationship and just continuing a conversation is the biggest thing that you want to do. It's all about, what impact do you have for someone that's going to bring them back, right? Whether it's bringing them back because you're providing tips or values, you have a really interesting product or service that they want to use, anything that will encourage them to create that relationship is what you want to put all of your focus on.
Mm. And it's interesting because literally this came to me the other day, and it goes with the theme of, executing. Like, I love how you're talking about with ads, like, don't, try the same ad twice, at once, try different things, really explore what's going to resonate with the end consumer. And it's, I almost want to tell people, like, a stat that you need to be looking at as a business owner that is navigating marketing on social. You need to start looking at, how your number of posts, how many, when you go to your feed, when you go to your profile, how many posts, what does that number look like? Don't look at the amount of followers. Don't look at the amount of people that you're following. The number that really matters for long-term brand building is how many posts are on your social. That's really what I want to tell people, because that's what matters. You need to do quantity to get to the quality of what's going to resonate. And that comes from trying things.
And I think a statistic that I found really surprising was that the Ontario government actually did a study in 2020 and found that 40% of Ontario businesses in 2020 did not have a website.
That's crazy. 40%.
Yeah, 40%. And even if you do have a website, I think tracking what a customer's journey is, because you can get them on your social media, and then when you want them to then leave your social media to go to your website, how is that interface? What does your website look like? Is it easy to use? Is it clear where you go, right? Do you have to click 10 times to get to a product, or can you click 3 times and you're there, you're ready to add it to your cart? The whole process, I think a lot of people put emphasis on one area, and it goes back to that big picture, right? Step back, look at it. Same thing as when you have a physical space. When they come in, what do they first see, right? How you set up the layout of your business, what the feeling is, what products you're showing, what signage you have. All of that applies to social media and a website, the same as in-person brick and mortar stores.
It's a very, very interesting stat. You're 100% correct, Rochelle. And I wonder, 40%, no website at all. Out of that remaining 60, I'm wonder what the, percentages of the businesses that just have really a glorified business card online versus probably a very small percentage that has not a website but a work site, a site that's an assistant buyer for your business that's used strategically to create that relationship, act as a funnel, etc.
Yeah, and that is a good example of, tracking customers' journeys, right? And it applies to everything. Do they go to social media? Do you have your website linked? Do they search on Google? Do you have a Google business listing? Is your website linked? Do you have directions? Do you have an email on there? Is there a phone number? All of these things, there's checklists, right? We talked about that earlier. Checklists that they can go, yep, okay, I have a website. I have my phone number on my Google business listing. I've updated it in the last week. And it's just taking that step back in that big picture and saying, okay, what does my social media look like? What does my website look like? Do I have the ability to follow up with people? So do I have an email marketing system? Is it effective? Do I need help? Is it automated?
Let's go here for a second. So what are some key things that you believe in 2021 one should have on their website? Like, let's kind of, like everybody kind of has a general idea, like about us, homepage, contact, but like, what are some practical things that you believe in 2021, and almost every business should have incorporated in their website one way, shape, or form?
Well, how do I narrow this down? I gotta
Well,
narrow it down.
start with the follow up, because I think that's really important for people to kind of get a better understanding of. I actually want to chop this video and put it on our Active Campaign page on the website.
I think kind of like the first side of follow up would be, do you have your phone number and your email linked somewhere on your website? So whether that's on a contact page, is it in a header or a footer? Making sure that it's accessible, but at the same time that you're protecting yourself from getting excessive spam messages. So even if it's just having like a contact me link that then gives them the email or the phone number, and then they can follow up. Linking back to your social media profiles, letting Google know that you're connected so they'll associate them together. And then having a newsletter sign up. Newsletters and email marketing, there are so many benefits to email marketing, just in sending out updates to people or giving them new product information. But with email marketing, there's so much data that you can track and use, whether that's the best day to send it, the best time to send it, and then also identifying what customers are interested in. So are they interested in a new product that you just released, or there's a service that you weren't even sure that they knew about? Adding in all of the tracking, both on the email marketing side, but then also connecting it to your website. A lot of email marketing systems will also allow you to do site tracking. So you'll be able to track which pages or products that your customers are interested in, but you can also link it up to your Google Analytics. So you're able to track their journey throughout your website even further through that.
And to back up for a moment, because I think there's a good point to make in here, like much like we were just talking about how, glorified business card online, a lot of people underutilizing their website. Do you think there's a lot of unused advantages for businesses that have newsletters right now?
So much. I love email marketing. That's like my favorite part of my entire job. Businesses will have a newsletter, but they may not use it. They might have a list of 500 people and they've only contacted them maybe 5 times. Setting a schedule where you can regularly check in with them allows you to, one, keep yourself accountable and on a schedule to let your customers know, but also reminds them about your business. So seeing that pop up in their inbox, sending them messages on Instagram when they've interacted with you to further that conversation. That all allows that relationship aspect. From the email marketing side, even just sending a quick, like, how are you doing email? Or is there anything I can do for you? For example, if you're a very personalized service, if you're a more service-based service that has sessions, maybe like a gym, letting them know when new bundles go up, or your email marketing system can also be used as exclusive content. So your customers on social media are going to find out on the 3rd of February when something comes out, while your email marketing system is going to find out a week before or 3 days before, because those people have taken an interest and you're showing that you are prioritizing the information, but then you're also giving them that little bump, right? They're special. They're on your email list. They get news beforehand. Maybe they get an offer that not even social media or your website sees. It's just your email marketing.
I love that. And I think one thing that's key to note as well, to go with that, is that especially during this time, like I've had several conversations, and what I'm observing in the business community is that people that are putting focus on their existing clientele, who they already have built a relationship with, there's actually a lot of opportunity there that often goes untapped when people are focused on offense in regards to new business instead of focusing on who they have already. Goes back to the conversation with social media, focusing on who you have. Stop always trying to go out for new, like really nurture that existing audience. Same goes with what you're talking about as well.
Yeah, and I always laugh. I don't know if it's just me, but anytime that I get an email or I get an advertisement that is really well tailored, like, it has my interests, they've captured my attention in the email, I am more likely to buy from them or read the content, because I'm like, okay, you nailed it. Like, good job.
Right. No, that's super, super key. And like, it kind of goes with like another observation in the marketplace, whereas like, being kind of general with who you're targeting is becoming less and less effective. And, really kind of breaking down by industry, who you're targeting, or, one ideal client versus another, and really kind of creating different ads that focus on those different individuals. That's really what's kind of making a difference when it comes to building that connection that you're talking about.
And one thing I've noticed is there's been a shift. There's been a lot of conversations that I've had over the past few months where people are really nervous to use ads, but there's so many benefits to using ads, whether that's getting new people to know about your brand or interested in your brand, or it's retargeting individuals to follow up. That alone, I think we're starting to see a bit of a shift, because ads are being recognized as a part of a social media platform. But we have clients who have been in business for 40 or 50 years, and this month is the first time that they're running an ad.
Why are clients scared? Why are people scared to run ads?
I think it has a lot to do with education and uncertainty. I think people are scared of potential pushback that they'll get from people, where the pushback I haven't actually seen in comparison to the 95% that you get in positive feedback or new clients or someone following you even just to get updates until they decide. Another really important thing is that most people need to see your product or service or brand multiple times, like 10, 15 times before they make a purchase decision. So an ad will allow that to go out to those tailored individuals, whereas an organic social media post may not even come into their view, or depending on the social media platform and what the algorithm prioritizes, it may not even show up on their field for 4 weeks.
Do you think that the reason why some people could be scared could be that they think that, advertising on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, is very similar approach to how one would say advertise on the radio?
How so? Sorry, let me just clarify.
So if you hear like an ad on the radio, like a lot of ads, not all of them, but like a lot of ads are very similar in the approach, very broad in the targeting, very, call us, buy our product or service, like that kind of, it's a lot of right hook approaches to that. Whereas, you see some differences in Facebook and Instagram where it's more of a jab instead of a right hook approach. Do you think that could be a reason why people are shying away from social as an paid advertising platform, because they're thinking about radio, they're thinking about television, other platforms, and how people would traditionally advertise on those platforms?
I would agree. Yeah. I think with radio advertising, you have that like 15, 30 seconds to get your information across. And it goes out, it's not tailored. It's anyone who tunes into that radio station. Someone might even pop on and they've never listened to that radio station before. So they're just a new listener, which means that advertisement and your message is still getting out to those people, but maybe it's not the people that you want. Maybe it's single moms that you're looking for, and your message is only getting out to grandfathers. So with social media advertising, there are so many options for tailoring, whether it's location, age, gender, interests. There's so much to it that you can tailor so that it's not just like a throw a net out and try and catch them all. It's, okay, these are the people I'd like. Here's my information, and let's like trickle you back. The other side of it is that there is money attached to it, right? And social media has typically been seen as a non-paid platform. It's been, you post organically and you try and grow your followers and you try to get your likes, and there you go. There's money attached to it, and that can bring some uncertainty, especially when it's new to people. So working with someone who has the understanding, can explain it, walk you through the strategy of it is crucial to make sure that you're comfortable as a business owner, but also that you have the confidence that, okay, yep, let's run a social media ad now. And that's where agencies are a great opportunity to partner with.
And let's clear this up once and for all, because we get a lot of people that kind of, they've been given very different information about, what type of budget one would need to run a Facebook ad, for example. Like, how much are we talking about here? Like, what's a realistic dollar figure? Just for, I really want to provide some value here for people that might be listening to this. What's a dollar figure that you could even start with in a niche market?
I would say start with $50 and run it for 30 days.
That's it.
Yep, just $50. Just try, right?
Wow.
30 days will give you enough data that you'll be able to see. If you do it for less, that's totally fine. But sometimes you might not be able to see as much. But $50 for 30 days, you'll be able to track what age people are, what they're engaging with. If you're running maybe multiple 50 ads, then you could see which one is doing better than the other. But yeah, $50, just start it low, slow, and then try things, right? Some of the best ads are just the ones where you're being genuine. We ran an ad for an office supply company that literally had 5 images of products that were tailored to the holidays. It was like a 2-sentence ad, And it did amazing because people were able to see the different products they have. It wasn't just like one generic ad. It was, okay, these are what we're offering. Come check us out. This is our location, or this is our website. Another example is running an ad that was not necessarily related to link clicks. It was just promoting their brand. So it talked about being aware of your mood during the holiday season if you've lost someone. And it did extremely well because it resonated with people who had lost someone in the past year or the past few years. And they were able to have a conversation on that ad saying, okay, I couldn't do this. So what's an opportunity that I could? So maybe it's a remembrance ornament that they put on their Christmas tree. They couldn't do it one way. So here's 3 other options to help remember that person's memory.
Wow, that's a really great observation, Rochelle. And I think like a huge benefit to this as well is like not only are we able to create context, but referring back to something that you said earlier about, work site, not a website, and how many clicks are people using to get somewhere. And the fact of the matter is the call to action is right there. And by the way, it's clickable. And you can choose what that call to action gets to be. Whether it's an ad that focuses on leads, whether it's an ad that directs people to a specific landing page or to your current recent point around just that overall brand awareness and just creating that. But there's no loss in translation. Where you're telling something about someone and then they have to go somewhere else in order to figure out that information, type something in. The call to action's right there.
And the ad doesn't have to be a specific way. And that's the one thing that I love about digital advertising. It's not set a certain way. You have to say this in the opening, then there's your body, and then this is your tagline. It can change for every single ad, for every single company. It can suit your tone. It can suit your brand. Your imagery is different than someone else's. They're so broad and customizable, which is why I love it, because it means that your message and your brand is being shown the way that you want it shown. It's not just the whole like throw the net out and catch them. It's this is who we are, this is what we offer, and here's how we offer that, or here's where you go.
That's beautiful. I 100% agree. And like for somebody who's like, again, looking at ways that we can provide value through this talk, like for somebody right now, like I'm literally putting a face to like somebody that I'm thinking of right now who's, they're trying to navigate the online space and they're looking at, what can I do that will actually change the course of where my social media is going and new things I can implement. And the first thing that comes to my mind is like, take a step back and actually understand that social media is a tool. It's not an art gallery. It's an actual tool that can be used to better understand your ideal customer, test the market, what content's going to resonate, quantity, which then leads to quality, insights on like what's working, what's not working, what resonates, what doesn't, getting answers to questions that you have, and then being able to build relationships. Like I love some of the conversations that we're having in our DMs because it so speaks to the culture that we're trying to cultivate here, which is relationship first. It just making that a priority. What are some things that you've observed for somebody, and once they have that mindset, what are some things that you believe they could execute on practically to carry that out on their social?
I think it starts with going back to strategy, right? Start from the base, like the root of everything, and then work your way up. Like a good analogy I can think of is like you wouldn't use a hammer to paint a picture. So if your client is on LinkedIn, but they're not on Instagram, focusing more attention on LinkedIn is a lot better strategy for you than only going on Instagram or trying to expand that when they're not even there.
Right.
So I think understanding it, doing research, and it could be just, like I said, hashtags, Google, ask your clients, go through all of those processes that you would think of that a customer is going to do. They're going to Google, they're going to go to social media, they're going to ask their friends and family. Place your emphasis there and then start building up. So what do you want people to know about your brand? Break your whole brand down so that you can clearly explain it. How can you explain your brand in 3 words, right? Based on those 3 words, start writing a list under each word, different content that it could be, right? So one of the words that we use at OSM is connect. So, okay, now we can do content about creating relationships. We can do content about coffee and marketing talk, Network Bay of Quinny. We can do a podcast, all of these different things. That's just one word. So now you have 5 different topics. Okay, let's break that down into 3 posts each. Social media is very quick information. So, if you have something that's like this long for a social media post, it should actually be 4 different social media posts. Now you have more content there.
Wow. I love this because this is real good content right now. Like you're giving away some real gems that OSM is actually executing in-house.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think if you're finding that you're running out of ideas for social media, go back to like, what are your frequently asked questions? How do you describe your brand? What are the pain points of customers, right? What are the issues that they're facing in their everyday lives? And what do your product or service solve for them? Break that down. What does it look like? What does it feel like? If you have a product that's like a candle or food, what does it smell like? Go back to your 5 senses. It's something that we naturally do. So use that, right? Think about the imagery that you can use to then display all of that. And then just go back to like, what do you want people to know?
Rochelle, I love this. Thank you so much. This has been very, very fruitful. I'm actually really glad that this was like impromptu, like this wasn't like planned, but I'm really glad that we were able to have this conversation because I think this is like I can already see so many like breakdowns that we'll get in the edits that can be used on like pages across myosm.ca, our social, and like I think there's some really great value points for people that are trying to navigate this online space. So thank you. I appreciate your time.
No, thanks for chatting with me.